Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine. Now this little video started off as a post on the community tab on the YouTube channel, and I had quite a lot of feedback from it. I also put it on the Now Spinning Magazine Facebook community as well. We were doing a themed weekend about DVDs, and I had to go back to a VHS tape for mine. In fact, I went back to October 1983. I was 24 when I bought this rock flashback, Deep Purple, live in concert from the California Jam on April the 6th, 1974. This is a VHS tape, and when this came out there was only Slipstream by Jethro Tull, and I think Black Sabbath weren't that far behind. These were £40. Now if I tell you that my weekly salary back then was about 68 quid a week, this was nearly all my money. Once you took away my money for bus fares and what I had to give me mum and dad for housekeeping, etc. It was all my money. I had to sign a little piece of paper, a little special receipt to say I'd actually bought it. They were so expensive. I'd only just got a VHS recorder, and when I say I had got one, I hadn't. My family, because I was living at home, we'd rented one. We'd rented a VHS recorder, and with all of us in the family were putting towards the rental of it. They were that expensive. A blank tape was £8.50. A Maxwell blank tape, VHS tape, 3-hour tape. It was £8.50. It was a big thing to do. And I bought a pre-recorded tape by Deep Purple. It was like, this is the time when they still weren't sure how to package these things, what they were going to be like. So they made it like a book, a hardback book. It actually opens up like one with the blurb down the side, and then the tape hidden inside the box. As it say here, this videogram may not be shown in schools or universities. And on the back it just says, what did it say? Deep Purple, one of the original and best heavy metal bands. The unique recording shows the pyrotechnic stage act at its most exciting, taped in front of 300,000 people at the first California Jam. Burn, Might Just Take Your Life, Mistreated, Smoke on the Water, You Fool No One, The Mule, Space Trucking, 77 minutes long, Inglorious Mono, Where's Lay Down, Stay Down? I'll come on to that later. And a picture of Ritchie Blackmore on the front. I remember seeing it, and Tommy Vance had played a few tracks on the Friday Rock Show in mono. But let's go back here. When I listened to the Friday Rock Show, I was listening through one speaker, so it didn't really mean anything to me. But I was hearing Deep Purple from the period when I saw them live. I saw them in 1984 in May. I was 15 in 1974. And when I saw this, I thought, I have to get this. I have to get it, because I'll be able to see Ritchie Blackmore move. What do you mean, see Ritchie Blackmore move? Back then, there's no YouTube, there's no internet. Deep Purple aren't on the telly, ever. And obviously, they wouldn't be, would they, from this period anyway. So, when you went to see a concert, and there were no video cameras at this point, there were no phones. When you went to see a concert, apart from buying a program with static pictures in it, the only memory you had was what you absorbed into your brain and could recall what it was like that you saw the concert. You couldn't go and look online and watch someone's footage or something or get a feel for it again. It was just in your memories. So at the age of 15, I saw Deep Purple play live, and I was mesmerised. They became my favourite band of all time. First ever gig. I saw Ritchie Blackmore smash his guitar at Birmingham Odeon. And now was a chance for me to see him again. But this would be the first time I'll have seen Ritchie Blackmore moving around. I'd seen him at the Rainbow Rising tour, if you want to, but I hadn't seen Deep Purple. So I'm just trying to get that across, because that is something that you can't think now, whenever someone mentions any band to me now, I'll just go online and watch them within seconds. I can find everything about them. And you can with Deep Purple. You can obviously go and look at Deep Purple 1974 and you can find footage. But then I hadn't. So coming home and putting this on my TV, and again on the TV, the video recorder and the TV with the speakers about 20 inches apart from each other, because we live in a world now where you can have a 65-inch screen. Trust me, back then you didn't have anything like that. If someone had a 22-inch screen, they were like, it was like the cinema, and it was it was curved around the edges. There weren't straight lines really, and the speakers were tiny. You know, probably looking about 2.5 watts per channel. But not that it mattered, because it was mainly mono anyway. Stereo meant nothing really, because you just sat in various parts of your living room and you just saw what you saw. And this was so precious, so precious to me that I even went. I was working at Aston University. I remember going to one of the techie guys there and saying, "Could you copy it for me?" Because I was so nervous that it might get wrecked if I played it. You know, because with VHS tapes, you used to get these white lines sometimes going through them. And this was an old recording, even in 1983. You know, you've got like the lines on the screen from the camera, from the lights and everything. It's not a perfect recording, which is probably why it's never really adapted well to Blu-ray, because you can only do what you can with the source material. But this, I almost know every frame of it. I used to misspent youth here, but I used to go to the pub, various pubs, and when I'd come home, you know, after a few beers, Mum and Dad had gone to bed, I'd make myself a pot noodle, usually a hot and spicy one, and put some extra curry sauce in, because I didn't know, because obviously after a few beers your taste buds have gone, and then put this on and watch all the way through to Blackmore blowing up his amps and smashing his guitar up. And I was maybe looking back now, fairly stage wave hitting that camera really, and his hair catching on fire. And I knew every introduction, I knew the guitar solo. I just wish the cameras had been on the front of his guitar when he did that standalone solo in U401, so I'd have a better feel of what he was doing. You know, when he's, you know, and the fact he changed his clothes halfway through, he's got that like suede jacket on for the first 2 tracks, then he changes to his satin superhero guitar god stuff towards the last 2 tracks. You know, Coverdale is fantastic. Hughes obviously, you know, he's on fire, and so is John. Look, the whole band, you know, the whole band, and you see the size of that audience, and it's just like, you just can't see the back. You just cannot imagine anything like that. Who knows how many 100,000 people were really there, but it just looks amazing. And I don't have a VHS recorder now, so I can't play this anymore, but I've never got rid of it. Why? Because it was 40 quid? No, because it's just, it's a piece of history. It's a piece of my history, really, of how much this band means to me. I did eventually buy it on DVD. This is the one I've got. There are several versions, I guess. And this one has the Lay Down, Stay Down is reinstated. Because you could always tell there was something, they must have done it, because 1 minute it's fairly, although it's only 5 minutes longish, the light in the sky goes dimmer, because they've missed it. They took a track out for timing reasons, but they reinstalled it on here. This is in 5.1, but it's kind of simulated 5.1 really. Recording wise, I think the first time it came out in audio was this version, which I think is from 1996, called California Jamming, which has a great booklet in it. You know, really has got some, you know, lovely pictures in it, lots of information and stuff. But the sound quality is poor, not exciting. Released on EMI Premiere, I think, as if like that was some way of putting it out but not really caring. And it doesn't include the extra track. And then Simon Robinson for the Deep Purple fan club for his Sonic Zoom series released Just Might Take Your Life, Purple 208. And this is much better sound quality. Not perfect, but it never was. And a tiny little booklet, but really tiny text. So the whole history of the gig. And that's probably the best version to have. I don't think it's easy to find now, to be honest. So your best bet is probably looking for the DVD or watching it on YouTube, because I bet that's where it is. But I just wanted to try and explain how hard it was to see your favourite bands in a visual format unless you saw the gig. Unless you went to see them live, you didn't know. Think about that. A world where you can't just watch a clip or a live concert on your phone or anywhere. You only could see the act that you adored by going to buy a concert ticket and seeing them live when they came round to your town. Wow, the gap between those gigs could be years, or they may not even arrive. Hi, Bob Seger. And that was the only way. So then if you wanted to recapture or relive it, it had to be through your own memory banks. So that's why when videos first arrived, they were such a big deal. And as I say, there was this and Jethro Tull's Slipstream, which is a great concert, which you can, of course, get as part of one of the Super Deluxe editions, which the video is in this channel and website. So that's Rock Flashback, Deep Purple, California Jam, April 6, 1974. Bought in October 1983. Wow. So I hope you enjoyed that little look back through one of my first, well, it was my first ever video DVD concert experience, bought again so I could actually watch it on the telly box. Thank you, take care, keep spinning those records. Remember, music is the healer, and I shall talk to you very, very soon.